All right, before today's video starts, please go down and subscribe. All right, guys, so today I'll be going over one of my most viewed videos on this car, and it's how to LS swap your S197 for around $4,000. Now, there's a cheap way and an expensive way to do this. We're going to get right into it and start off with the cheap way. Now, 4.8, 5.3, 6 liter, 6.2 if you can find one, and that's a big stretch. You can get 4.8s, 5.3s, sometimes 6 liters for $500. Now, there's your motor. You've got your motor. Now, $46 for some LS to 4.6 swap plates, and then you bolt them onto your 3-valve motor mounts because you know yours blew up. That's why you're here watching my video. You have your factory K-member. You don't have to worry about a K-member. You don't have to buy one. Now, that is in the expensive side if you want to. I'll get to that later. Now, like I said, $500 motor, $46 on the swap plates, bolt it right onto your stock K-member. You have your LS motor sitting in there with your 3-valve motor mounts, and the Ford boys hate you and are throwing their computers out the second floor window.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
Now, how are you going to wire the car? You can do this a cheap way or you can do this a really expensive way. Like I said, get to the expensive part later. Cheap way, $175 eBay LS swap harness. Now, if you have the factory computer that came with your motor, you're already a step ahead because it won't cost you any money to get another factory computer. Now, $175 for the swap harness, and obviously have a computer already. Have you, your buddy, someone with HP tuners, or take it to a tuner and have them tune the car, turn the VATs off, whatever you need for whatever setup you have. It's very simple. It is very easy. Now, after that, we have to work on what's going to move the thing. Transmission. Now, I've priced out a lot of transmissions, 400s, 350s, power glides. You can get them about $1,000. If not a little bit over, you might spend $1,000 to $1,300 or $1,500. It depends on your area. It depends what deal you can find. I got mine for $1,300, if I remember, and it came with converter and shifter. So I got a deal on that. Good buddy deal. But, you know, shit happens. So I priced out my list with $1,000 transmission. Now, that is just the transmission. No converter, no badass, bandit shifter, or I think mine's a TCI Outlaw. But, like I said, that is just the transmission. So, 500 motor, $46 swap plates, $175 harness, $1,000 trans. The crossover for these cars. Now, if you want to use a 4L60, 4L80, 6L80, whatever you want, those L80 transmissions, you will, 1, beat the hell out of the trans tunnel to make it fit, and 2, you and Jimbo are going to have to make yourself a crossover out of some random piece of metal you find, or you have, someone with a good welder, probably one of those.
That is blasphemous. That is blasphemous.
But you have somebody that has some type of welding experience and can make you a crossover for one of those transmissions. It's very simple in a way if you know what the hell you're doing. But if you want to make this easier on yourself, a 350, a 400, a Power Glide, JPC and Watson's Racing already makes the crossover for these cars. You can literally put your motor in there, you have your wiring harness done, you have your transmission, you have your crossover for the 400, the 350, the Power Glide. The crossover is only $236. It's pretty simple. I recommend the JPC one. It comes with a built-in drive shaft safety loop. If you guys have not watched my other videos, I cannot stress how highly I recommend getting a safety loop. My drive shaft blew up on the dyno, hurt the car, which is why we have a fuel cell in the trunk, because it also killed the fuel tank. It could have been a lot worse. We all walked away from it. This car has 2 drive shaft safety loops now for that reason. Now, the drive shaft, let's talk about that. I spent $500 on the drive shaft alone. Now, you can get one cheaper, you can get one more expensive. It is on you. You and your buddy can build one out of that piece of steel tubing over there, or a block of wood for all I care. But I'm pricing this out with a $500 drive shaft. All right, let's keep going. Now, the transmission needs a dipstick. I have mine right there, $17 for that dipstick. The flex plate. My flex plate was $130. This same flex plate now is $69. It is an SFI approved flex plate. It comes with ARP bolts to go into the back of the crank, and it also comes with the converter spacer. So if you need it, you got it. Now, converter bolts, really cheap, $6. These are eBay bolts, and they work great. I've had no problem with them. Put a little Loctite on everything you do, and you won't have a problem with them. Now, how are you going to move the car in a sense? So your throttle can linkage. This right here, just the linkage, is $18. The gas pedal inside the car is $42. It is a manual hot rod pedal. It works great for me. You can get the really expensive Watson Racing one. It's like $300 something. It's crazy expensive. In my opinion, it is a very nice piece, but you can make something for less money, in my opinion. That's me. If you want to, go ahead, go for it. Now, transmission, also going to need a cooler. You're really going to want some type of transmission cooler. Depending on any transmission you have, you need some cooler. The cooler I'm running is only $51. It is a 6-core cooler with a 10-inch fan. I have had no problem with that cooler at all. It is a great little cooler. Now, we've got our motor, we've got our transmission. We are in there. We're not talking about the converter yet or the shifter combo yet, but motor trans sitting in there. Now, what are we going to do to fuel it? Since we already have it wired, 3/8 and 5/16 quick connect adapters go into your fuel rails. If you don't have a return style fuel rail, even more power to you, you don't need one more of these. Now, this has a fuel pressure regulator built onto it, so I'm a little bit ahead. You don't have to do the whole C5 or Corvette fuel filter that regulates it down to 58 psi. That's a good thing if you have one of these rails. Now, 3/8, 5/16 quick connect. You can run a line from here, 6 AN, 8 AN, whatever you want, from the feed line down to the factory line that comes from the gas tank on your S197. I had that for a little while. It was a little 6 AN line. I had a quick connect over there. I ran an AN line up, over, and connected it on the fuel rail, and it was a deadhead system because I had the bottom one, I believe this one's a return, capped off with an AN cap. So I had basically, like I said, a deadhead system. Now we have a return style because we have a fuel cell in the trunk. So those little connections are only $11.50. Really cheap, really easy. Now, I priced out a fuel line kit, 10 feet of fuel line, either 6 AN or 8 AN, and it was only $32. 32 bucks. That's it. You get 10 feet of line. If you need to make 2 lines back to the gas tank, you probably can. I don't know for sure, but just making a line from here to here, it's only going to be about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet, 2 and 3 feet. That's about it. So I got my little cheat sheet here. So you can go down the list with me. I'll show you guys the list at the end. My handwriting is not beautiful. I was not great at it, but I know you can read it. So after all said and done, without a converter and a nice shifter, you're at $2703.50. $2703.50. So $2703.50. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you want a nice cam kit, you want a nice converter, you want a nice shifter, I priced that stuff out too. So remember, this is with a stock motor, a stock whatever transmission you got. I hope it came with a converter, and whatever trans you found or got with it, you're at $2703 if the transmission was $1,000 with all your stuff, and your motor is bone stock for $500. And that's just basically, it's in there, it's wired, it's got fuel, it's got a transmission, it's got stock converter and a drive shaft, it's bolted up, it's got its drivetrain basically. You got me? All right. Now, I priced out a Pro Bandit shifter with the linkage kit and all that stuff. It's $300 on Submit. I think it was a Jegs, one or the other. I'll have all the links down below. It's real simple, real easy. This is it's a really nice shifter, but especially for $300, you get the cable and everything. Pretty nice. Now, $300 for the shifter. Now, if you need a converter, if you want a converter, and you want to do a 31 to 3500 stall, let's say you're going to do a cam kit or something, maybe you want something bigger. I think it's Jegs that had one. It was $261.99. It's a 31 to 3500 stall. It's enough for a nice cam and whatnots you have. So that's only $261.99. Now let's get to the cam kit, the part everybody wants. Everyone wants their LS to chop. If you're gonna swap this in a car and you don't chop, I don't know what the hell you're doing. It's just you. Now, a cam kit from BTR was $750. Now that's head gaskets, lifters, push rods, valve springs, and the cam itself. Stage 1 through 4, I believe it is, and a Chuck Norris or something like that cam. Now this is straight off of their site, so it's pretty simple, pretty easy. So with a cam, a nice shifter, a converter, and all the other stuff, your motor, your transmission, all that stuff, crossover, everything in the car. Now, you're gonna be at, let's see, $4,015.49. That's cam, shifter, converter, motor sitting in there, transmission, drive shaft, everything. Complete drive shaft. You have a cam stall converter with a badass shifter, LS swap S197 for $4,015.49. Now, this does not include tax. I know Uncle Sam is in your pocket. I know shipping cost is up. It sucks. I know. It happens. It happens. Now, if you just want to do a shifter and a converter, if you have a stock converter, you have a stock converter. You guys can do the math. I did it with the shifter or converter. It ended up being $32.65 without the cam. So you have a stock motor, you have a nice converter, and you have a nice shifter, which is $32.65.49. Then you had the cam kit, $750, $4,015.49. Now, like I said, that is the cheap route. If you want to do it with stock computer and have your buddy tune it, you have a cammed LS S197, nice trans, converter, shifter, cammed, all that stuff. $4,000 basically. You're just right around that $4,000 range. Now, if you want to do this the money bag route, this is the really expensive part because we're talking well over $5,500. If you really want to go the real expensive route, even I'm going to be switching to more higher end shit. I won't be doing this expensive K-member, but let's just get right into it. So $500 motor, same thing, 48, 5.3, 6 liter, whatever you can find, $500. $608 for the AJE K-member if you want to go that route. They make the K-member, they make it with the motor mounts. It is $608. You will save 25-ish pounds. It will be a lot, I would say, nicer looking, but not really weight saving for the money. Because the price you spent on the motor, you spent more on the K-member than you did on the motor. So, get that in your head. So $608 for AJE K-member, $500 for the motor. A Holley Terminator system is going to be your best friend, especially with LS swap cars. These things, the Holley Terminator, you can't beat it. You cannot beat it. You can go with any other computer system, any other standalone, and nothing beats the Holley. It just does so well with cell tuning and correction factors, and just all the add-ons that you can do with a Holley are just amazing. Just being able to tune it on the fly is great. Now, after we're at our Holley, we're going to get back to the transmission. So the motor's sitting in there. You've got your K-member. You've got your Holley Terminator. Now, transmission, I still priced it at $1,000. Remember, you do as you do, you find as you find. There are deals on Facebook all day long. You guys will find something. $1,000 transmission. Crossover, same deal. 236, Power Glide, 400, whatever. Dipstick, 17, $69 flex plate, convertible, $6, gas pedal, 42, linkage, 18, transcooler, 51, the 2 fuel line quick connects, $11.50, and the fuel line kit, $32. Now, all that added together came out to be $4,432.50. So we are obviously well over $4,000 because of the K-member, mainly. The K-member is the kicker. The K-member is the big kick in the ass when it's $608, and that's before shipping. I don't know how much it costs to ship it. It might be free. You never know. You'll find out, though. So, $4,432.50. Now, if you want to do the shifter, the converter, and a cam kit, we're getting up there in price now. So, K-member, motor, trans, all that stuff. Now we get to, I don't have a shifter, I don't have a converter. Shifter, $300, the same shifter. And now the 31 to 3500 stall, $261.99. And remember, this is still with a stock motor, a Holley Terminator, a K-member, and a $1,000 trans. It's a big difference when you go with the Holley and go with the K-member than it does going without. Is what it comes out to be. So $4,994.49 is with the shifter, the converter, and all the other stuff we already talked about. Now, if you want to add a cam kit on top of that, it's another $750. So we're talking $5,744.49. There's my list of what I've compiled. You guys can go off of that as you please. So guys, as you can see, it can be really expensive or it can be really cheap. It depends on you and what you want in your car, basically. You can have all that Billy Badass shit, or you can, budget on some stuff and have other Billy Badass shit, basically. Like, you don't need the K-member right now, then don't buy it right now. If you want a cammed LS, nice converter shifter deal, do that. Spend whatever. You can see the numbers there. I'm not even going to go over it anymore. But, like I said, you can go crazy, you can go cheap. Either one. This is a little mix, basically. Because now I'm going over to a Holley, but I've also had my losses, obviously, many times where I've lost shit tons of money. Stuff happens. But I hope this helps out a lot of you guys on what you want to do with your S197, and if you really want to do this swap on your car, it is well worth it. You can make a lot more power than your standard stock 3-valve, because it popped at 500, but it's on you. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope this is a little wake-up call and gives you guys some ideas and some leeway and guidance, I would say, onto swapping your S197. It is a great swap. It is a very simple swap in my opinion, and it is well worth it over the competitor. I won't shit talk anymore on the 4.6 community. But thanks guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.